Okay, so let's go ahead and start creating our first set of objects for this lab. The first item we're going to create is what's called a resource group. If you're unfamiliar with what a resource group is, a resource group in Azure is a mechanism of grouping a collection of services and assets in Azure all together. These can assist in things like automatic provisioning, deprovisioning, monitoring. You could do access control around a resource group, and overall, it just provides a name, a container for a logical grouping to put all of your items in as you're building them out. So creating a resource or creating anything in Azure is fairly straightforward. There's a couple mechanisms. You could click here and search. You can find it over here on the right-hand side. But for most of this lab, we're going to be using the search. It's probably the easiest way to do it. And you're going to be able to type in the first few characters. So we're looking for resource groups. You click on that, and what we're going to do is we're going to add a new one, and we're going to be using the same resource group for all of the other items we create in this lab. So again, click on the add is going to add a new item here, and we're going to try to stick to some standard naming across the board as we go through this lab to keep things clean, lined up. So feel free to follow along and use similar naming so we don't get confused. The name is going to help with some things downstream when we're trying to hard code data strings into our ETLs. But for this, we're going to call it training resource group and your name. And so, what we're going to be following from a naming convention standpoint is we're going to call it training, the item we're creating, and then your name. And for a region, most of this lab is going to be here in Eastern US for me. Feel free to use whatever region you like, but again, it's going to be easy to just use East or East. We'll use US East 2 going forward. And for your subscription, if you already have not set one up, you'll want to do that as well. There'll be a supplemental lab that shows how to set up a subscription if you have not done so. So for me, we're going to be using my pay-as-you-go dev test for the remainder of this lab. After that, you click on Review and Create. Microsoft Azure will do some basic checks for you, and you click on Create to kick off the process. Almost everything we do is going to be following this add create process, so you'll be doing this a lot. You get very familiar with it. But resource groups get created very quickly and easily. Had it taken longer, you would have seen a little bit more processing here, but when things are finished, they're ready to go. You can navigate to your new item from here. You can go back home and hit refresh. And I believe it's still creating. Let's see what happened.